everybody, Sam Amico, Hoops Wire Live on 330 to go. We're back. The NBA is still playing on, believe it or not. I have no Cavs news this week, so this is the end of the show. Actually, Steve, the producer, is pointing me towards the door. Just go back and watch last week's. Actually, I have a couple of little updates, newsy items. Number one, obviously these Darius Garland trade rumors have been spinning. I did write a story on the website yesterday on the Cavs that they're not having any talks right now. So there are no legit trade rumors. I don't know that I would say 50% of them are legit throughout the NBA, if that. When we talk about Kevin Durant trade rumors, those are very real. Those will be visited. All of these, any kind of trade talks are going to be taking place around the time of the draft, which is, I guess, 20 days from now. So draft night is, I believe it's actually June 29th would be the first round. Then the second round, of course, is the next afternoon. But the night before the draft and the draft, that's when we're going to start hearing trade buzz. That's legit. Because now we have some speculating, but no teams are talking trade right now. They're enjoying the finals. The players are long gone. They're off in their hometowns or on vacations. So when we hear Cavs trade chatter, it's not because Kobe Altman's talking to anybody, because he's not. This is the time in the NBA where everybody's just paying attention to the finals. We're not going to find out about Ty Jerome and Sam Merrill, unrestricted free agents. We're probably not even going to get a good idea of where they're going to go or what's going to happen with them until around the draft, probably after, which is the following week after the draft. The first week of July is the start of NBA free agency. I don't expect a lot of movement this summer. Last year at hoopswire.com, we updated, usually on free agency night, it is maddening. As Steve knows this, you don't talk to me during Browns games. You don't talk to me during NBA free agency. Last year, NBA free agency, you could talk to me. I was literally sitting there twiddling my thumbs on the first night of free agency, which is a stunner, because usually we can't get the website updated fast enough because there's so much movement. But because of this new collective bargaining agreement, which impacts the Cavaliers, there's not been as many big-time signings because teams just can't do it. They just don't have the financial or the cap space. They don't want to put themselves up against the second apron, which is, you can go over a certain apron of tax. So let me explain this in layman's terms. If you're an NBA team, you have a certain amount of salary that you're allowed to spend. If you go over that amount of salary, then you just pay a penalty, which owners have never cared about that. They just go ahead and pay the penalty. They have so much money, it doesn't matter to them. But now, so you get a certain ability to go over that salary cap and just pay a tax. But now if you go too much over, which will put you into the second tax apron, that impacts the general managers. It impacts everything. You can't make moves, basically. You're totally handcuffed. You can't trade picks. This is all if you go into that second tax apron. You can't trade draft picks. You can't aggregate salaries in trades. So if the Cavs say wanted to trade, I don't know, Dean Wade, they wanted to trade him and they saw a player they really liked, but the salaries didn't match, the Cavs would not be allowed to throw in another player to make the salaries work. So that really, if you're in that second tax apron, which the Cavs are projected to be in that after presumably either signing Ty Jerome or another veteran if Ty Jerome were to leave. So the Cavs are going to be in that second tax apron to fill out their roster. They don't have a choice because they have to carry, 13 guys? You got to carry 14. At the end of the year, you have to have 15, and that's going to put them in that apron. So they're very limited in what they can do. But this is the NBA. And we saw Luka Doncic traded midnight on a Saturday night. I mean, anything is possible. So there are ways around. There are little loopholes. Let me just say this, and this is what I said in the story on hoopswire.com yesterday. I don't believe at all that the Cavs will trade any of their core four. They're not going to trade DeAndre Hunter either. So there's 5 guys we can rule out for the most part. They're going to listen. Kobe Altman's not going to get on the phone and say, hey, what will you give me for Garland? Or Jared Allen. But look, NBA general managers read the same stuff we do. They're going to call Kobe Altman and say, what do you want for Darius Garland? What do you want for Jared Allen? Then maybe talks start. So, nobody saw the Cavs trading for Donovan Mitchell when that happened. Remember, he was supposed to go to New York. He was all lined up to go to New York, his hometown. His dad works for the Mets. And Kobe Altman snuck in there and made that deal. Nobody saw Kobe Altman trading for DeAndre Hunter at the trade deadline. So it's possible. But I think that they're very committed to this core, especially when you consider, thank goodness I got the free checkered cup of coffee today because something's going on with my voice. If those of you who are personal friends with me on my Facebook page, which I pretty much accept everybody because I need friends, but you'll see that I went to Indiana and spent time at the Hoosier Gym where the movie was shot. I go there, take the boys at least once a year, sometimes twice. Sometimes I go on my own because I really need to get out more. Yeah, that's where I vacation, Indiana. But anyway, so I was talking a lot on this trip, as the family will tell you that I tend to do. Now I have no voice. But here at the 330 To Go Studios, free coffee, and let me tell you, I would probably pay $20 for it. But I hope they don't ask me to test that theory. So back to the Cavaliers, I would say that it's unlikely that they would trade any of these people when you're talking about the core four, because they're probably not going to get back a fair amount of value. They're not ready to tank. I saw that ESPN trade proposal where Donovan Mitchell goes to the Mavericks, I think, and the Cavs will get Cooper Flagg and Jared Allen goes to Lakers. The Cavs. I looked at that and I'm like, that's just blowing up the roster for the sake of blowing it up after a 64-18 year. When the Cavs went 66-16 with LeBron James, nobody said, "Oh, they got to blow that up," because they didn't get out of the, they didn't get to the finals. No, you build on what you accomplished. You trust your body of work. Oh, they can't get it done in the playoffs. Well, one team gets it done in the playoffs. 2, if you want to say both of the finalists. So I don't foresee the Cavs giving up on any of this. I frankly foresee this. The core 4 back, Ty Jerome back, Sam Merrill back, Isaac Okoro traded. That's what I see. Jalen Tyson gets Isaac Okoro's minutes. Who was a rookie this past year. If there's one thing Jalen Tyson immediately brings, it's toughness. Cavs will sign for a minimum or get in a Okoro trade a backup center. That's my prediction. I think they'll start DeAndre Hunter next year. So that will give you Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter gives you that extra size. He's 6 inches taller than Max Strus, who starts at small forward. And Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. Ty Jerome off the bench. Jalen Tyson off the bench. Sam Merrill off the bench. Dean Wade. Dean Wade is a possibility to get moved. So I think that those are things to consider with the Cavs. They're not written in stone, but those are just kind of stuff I'm hearing from, or, discussing with scouts and a couple of opposing assistant GMs and what their feel is with the Cavs. Their feel is, no, they're not looking to trade anybody from the core four. They would if you knock their socks off. So, and Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley are untouchable. The talk of Donovan Mitchell to the Mavericks was an ESPN pipe dream. It was, hey, look, we run unending trade proposals on my website, and they're fun to write. It's fun to pretend. Trust me, I pretend a lot more places than in my website. Little do you know that in real life, I pretend that I'm the lead singer of a rock band. That dream has not died, by the way. So I promise you I didn't have much to say on the Cavs, but I probably took up way too much time on them when nothing really is going on. But they do have 2 second-round picks. They're not going to try and move up in the first round, I don't think. The nice thing is they will probably explore that a little bit. But the nice thing about that is if you can use those 2 second-round picks and a player, say Isaac Okoro, you could actually get a pretty good, pretty decent backup center. I don't know how or who's out there right now, but, I don't think that's enough to get Clint Capella from the Hawks. He would be, the ceiling of backup centers that you could get. He's a little older, but, he's not a starter anymore. He's 31, which in NBA years is a little older. You got a lot of miles on you. He could potentially be the type of guy that you could get. So it will be interesting a month from now on what the Cavs can and will do. So I laid out my predictions for you. Core 4 stays. And listen, you don't have to trade any of them now. I wouldn't trade any of them now. You have all the way until the February trade deadline to make a deal. That's how they got DeAndre Hunter. I think DeAndre Hunter is going to be even better with a full year, with a full training camp, a full season with the Cavs, and perhaps a starting lineup. You just have to sell Max Strus on coming off the bench, which isn't very hard if you're Kenny Atkinson. You're coming off the bench. Good luck. Which, you're still going to play the same amount of minutes. Just not going to be running out there when they call the starting lineup. So I don't know that that's a Cavs plan, but I think it's something that they certainly will consider, which would immediately give them more size. I don't want to say more physicality because Max Strus is pretty physical. And I do think that they will listen to offers for Darius Garland. But frankly, and Jared Allen, but frankly, they're not going to get a decent return back. I don't think. And I don't think they want to break up the core after a 64-18 season. I mean, look at the Indiana Pacers. That's who they lost to. Right now, the Indiana Pacers, best team in the NBA. I mean, let's move on and talk a little bit about the NBA Finals. Pascal Siakam, the Indiana Pacers forward, after the game, looked disgusted after they won on a last-second shot by Tyrese Halliburton, who else, in Game 1 of the Finals. And Pascal Siakam, the Pacers forward, Halliburton's teammate, said, "We didn't even play well." And they didn't. They were outplayed that entire game. They were dominated. And they just keep doing it. They're the first team, I believe, in NBA history that's won 3 straight game ones on the road. And they've also won 2 straight game twos on the road. So they could become the first team in NBA history to have won 3 straight game twos on the road if they win at Oklahoma City on Sunday night. What the Pacers done is amazing. Here's what we've learned from the NBA Finals, at least what I've learned. The big 3, super duper star, big name, you got to get those guys era is over. It's over. We're not going to stop clamoring for that. You know, fans and media isn't going to stop clamoring for, you know, how many superstars are we going to hear going to go to the Lakers this offseason? How many times are we going to hear Giannis Antetokounmpo is getting traded to 17 different teams this offseason? There's one rumor out there that you know, Giannis could go to the Raptors. He would have. Why would Giannis Antetokounmpo say, "Yeah, I want to go from Milwaukee to a worse situation in Toronto"? Because the guys that you're going to have, it's just insane. He would never do that. The only way he would go to the Toronto Raptors is if he demanded a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks and said, you know, which he's not going to do. He would have done it already. And therefore the Bucks aren't going to trade him. But by golly, keep the possibilities out there, because we sure love running them on HoopsWire because you guys eat them up. I don't know about you guys, but the 12 to 25-year-old crowd sure eats them up. And we got to keep the lights on at HoopsWire and HoopsWire Live, which they have no problem. The coffee, they can just afford to just give out coffee like it's nothing. My house, you come to my house, it's $5 a cup. And it's not even this good. Okay, this is about the time everybody tunes out. So I will talk a little bit about NBA expansion. You know what? Before I get to that, I didn't mention when we're talking about trade rumors, Kevin Durant is another name. And obviously he's going to be moved. And I think they're going to move him on the night of the draft. Where he's going to end up remains a big mystery. I ran a story, I think last week, the Cavs do not have interest in Kevin Durant. But there are plenty of other teams that do. And where he ends up is going to be a mystery. I suspect, if I had to take a guess, I see all these other teams mentioned, but if I had to guess a leader in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, I would go with the Miami Heat. And that's just because they have assets. They have, and you're not going to get much for Phoenix if you're you know, trading a 36-year-old Kevin Durant. You're just not going to get much. But you'll get picks. You're going to get some matching salary. Maybe a young player or two. You're not getting Tyler Hero. You're not getting Bam Adebayo. I don't know who else Miami has on the roster, but if I'm the Heat, I'd say take your pick. If you pair Durant with Hero, Adebayo, I still don't think it works. I still don't think you get very far. Listen, these guys have had great careers, and they continue to produce good numbers. But the 35 and over crowd, it's time to move on. You're not carrying anybody. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, great players still. Don't get me wrong. They've lost a step, if not 3 or 4. And they're not carrying you to great things anymore. And that's not a shot at Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. James Harden never really carried you to great things. Russell Westbrook. And dare I say LeBron James, Akron's own LeBron James. Listen, numbers are great. LeBron gives the Lakers without LeBron James, even with Luka Doncic, the Lakers are a lottery team. They're drafting near the bottom. But every team has guys who put up numbers. So numbers are going to be deceiving. Are they, in the words of Jeff Van Gundy, are they winning numbers? I think out of the group I just named, LeBron James probably still the one who's putting up winning numbers. But LeBron's at the point in his career where he should be your third option if you're going to win a championship. Can he take that step back? Can they get another guy, the Lakers? I doubt it. But I will say this era of the 35 and over big three, if it's not over already, it's definitely on its way out. Look at the finals. Two of the youngest teams in the NBA. Look at the Cavs, 64 and 18, one of the youngest teams in the NBA. There's no LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. It's time to move on, fellas. It's time to move on. Come join 330 to go. You get the coffee, you get the charm. There's a few other things you get here. I don't know. I'll think of them later. So I think that the Kevin Durant trade rumors are very real. If you were looking for trades to happen, they're not going to happen during the NBA Finals, ever. They're not going to be agreed on. It's not going to be leaked. The league will not allow it. The focus is on the NBA Finals, and what an NBA Finals game one was. I mean, the Pacers were done. They were out. It was over. 15 points in the fourth quarter. You know, the Pacers in the playoffs, in games they've trailed 8 times by 15 or more points in the playoffs. They've won 5 of those. Of course, we know one was against the Cavaliers, which we won't get too much into, but Tyrese Halliburton has hit a game winner in every series. Last night when the Pacers were down 9 with like 3 minutes left, I'm like, they're just not playing well enough to win this one. There's no signs of hope here. And Pascal Siakam said we didn't play well at all. And they still won. And you know what's interesting? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander missed a basket. Pretty easy shot. You know, guys are going to miss shots. He was well defended. And the Thunder were up 1 with 8 seconds left. The Pacers didn't even call timeout. They just got the ball to Halliburton, and he went to the wing. He dribbled to the wing and got off the shot, and sure enough, it went in. The Pacers led for 0.3 of a second. That's it. And I don't care about market size or any of that stuff. I think that this is fantastic basketball. And I just love it. And I think if anything this year is what Kobe Altman talked about at his press conference, which is the window's wide open. It's wide open. There's going to be 7 different champions in 7 years. This is the first time in NBA history. The league, and Adam Silver said this, and I'll get into some other stuff he said here in a minute, but the league and commissioner, and I think it's good for the fans, for everybody to think going into the season, we got a shot. We got a shot. The Charlotte Hornets could make some moves this offseason and get into the mix. Or they could just get into the mix because all their guys are healthy and they finally pulled together. Could you say that 4 or 5 years ago about 80% of the teams? No. That's why the Cavs don't want to blow it up. It's like, look, we're right there with these young teams. We're going to be battling it out, presumably with the Pacers and the Thunder and, you know, who else is young out there? Well, I mean, the Nuggets are still relatively young. Obviously, the Minnesota Timberwolves are incredibly young. And these are your top teams. Boston, what's going to happen with Boston? They're coming up again. They're getting to the point where they cannot pay these salaries. They're going to have to move somebody. They're not going to have Jason Tatum next year. They're either going to have to trade Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, or Drew Holiday. If not, Porzingis and Drew Holiday. What's going to become of the Celtics? Are they going to fall way back? What about the Knicks? Just fired Tom Thibodeau after a first Eastern Conference Finals appearance in 25 years. You know why? Because they're the Knicks. I never have a worry about the Knicks because I'm like, they're going to mess it up somehow. They're not quite Browns level bad when it comes to ownership, but they're up there. They're up there. They'll find a way to mess it up somehow, some way. So I think that these finals are very promising for teams like the Cavs. You cannot get too down when you get a new coach and do not go to the finals in the first year with that new coach. The Oklahoma City Thunder last year finished with the best record in the Western Conference, bounced. Now they went out and got some reinforcements. Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein. Cavs probably have to go out and get some reinforcements. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic, though. Just has to be the right fit, and they've got to add some toughness. We know that. They got to add some size. And I bet they do. I bet they do. That's the good news. They're not going to do it today. That's where fans on my Facebook page and on the website in the comments get upset. Well, why aren't the Cavs doing anything? Like, season's not over. They can't make trades right now. They're not even talking trades. No team is. It's all rumor and innuendo. Is that the right word? I don't know. I'm going to say it anyway. It's like the Jim Gaffigan line. If you just say a word and use it, then people are just going to assume you're correct in its usage, which I do a lot. And, when you're with your spouse or your significant other and you say something that's the wrong word in public, you always, or they do, you got to bite your tongue, right? Because nothing says love like not getting into an argument. So there you go. Whoever thought you would get marital advice here on Hoops Wire Live? So I guess the other thing I wanted to cover real fast, I'm looking at the time. I'm running long. And by running long, I mean like 15 minutes shorter than usual. But Adam Silver had his press conference on Thursday before the finals. He always has a press conference with the media before the finals. Adam Silver, for those of you who don't know who he is, he's the NBA commissioner. Wonderfully nice guy. There he is. Wonderfully nice guy. I don't agree with everything that he's done. I don't like these in-season NBA Cup tournaments. I don't like NBA. I'll watch them, but I'm not in love with the NBA play-in tournament. I'm like, you had 82 games to finish with a top 8 seed. You can't do it. Now all of a sudden, Now I don't. It's not stuff that angers me, but I'm just like, Commissioner, I know you love soccer and the tournaments overseas, internationally, in season. They don't work here. Whatever. It's not anything to, nothing says love like not getting into an argument. So I'm not going to argue and debate with the commissioner. So we've heard a lot about expansion. I believe it's going to happen at some point, and I believe those two teams are going to be the Seattle Supersonics and the Las Vegas 330 Goats. But those are the two cities, in my opinion, that will be getting a teams when there is teams. Adam Silver previously said, once we finalize the media rights deal, which the NBA has done, they're moving to NBC next year. ESPN and ABC will keep NBA games. NBC and Amazon Prime will be their two big spots. You know what the NBA is doing here? This is great, in my opinion. You're going to have a game on just about every night. Just about every night next year. Whether you want to go to Peacock and watch it, there's going to be some primetime games on NBC. NBC's bringing back primetime basketball, I think, on Friday nights. So I like what the commissioner has done in terms of securing this media rights deal. And what I also like about the commissioner is he actually really likes basketball. It's not all business. He said yesterday he loves that the Thunder and the Pacers are in the finals. He said, I love it because it represents, you know what the Thunder, or I'm sorry, the mayor of Oklahoma City tweeted out the other day. Did you guys see this? People are talking about how Oklahoma City's 47th biggest television market in the country. Indiana's 25th. I believe Cleveland's like 18th, somewhere in there. So you have two smaller market teams, two of the NBA's smallest markets. But the mayor of Oklahoma City tweeted this out the other day before the finals because everybody was talking about their market size. And he said, did you know Oklahoma City is a larger city than, I think it was 89% of the rest of the country? The United States is still largely rural. So, and when you have a team like Oklahoma City, the Thunder are the only show in town as far as sports goes. They don't have NFL. They don't have Major League Baseball. They don't have NHL. They have the Thunder and the Thunder's G League team, So that will increase your market size and your value to fans because it's the only show in the entire state. Indiana, you have the Colts in Indianapolis, but you don't have Major League Baseball. You don't have an NHL team. So the Pacers are huge. Basketball in Indiana is huge, obviously. When I went to Indiana the other day, a lot of people were wearing T-shirts with the Pacers logo that said, in the other 49 states, it's just basketball. But this is Indiana. And that's true. I saw another T-shirt that said that basketball is invented in Massachusetts. Indiana brought it to life. They love their basketball there, man. And I don't know. I've been in Cambridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, and I don't know that any place has. I mean, it is just like you are walking into basketball heaven. They do it right there. And that's not a shot at the Cavs or Rocket Arena, but that place is rocking all the time. Remember, the Indiana Pacers started this year 10-15, by the way. So they didn't do anything, make any huge splashy moves because they started 10-15, right? They stuck with it, kept together. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, got bounced by the Celtics, didn't look good. Nobody thought they'd go back. They finished with the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference this year. It's a good example that the Cavs can't, and they're not going to, be influenced by narratives. There's a gnat here in the 330 to Go studios. I don't know, what did I walk into here? Probably snakes down beneath me. But anyway, so the commissioner talked about expansion. And let me read you this real fast. When asked about, he said they would continue to explore expansion. Then he said, it depends on your perspective on the future of the league. As I said before, expansion in a way is selling equity in the league. And if you believe in the league, you don't necessarily want to add partners. So this makes me think, okay, what's going on here? On the other hand, we recognize there are underserved markets in the United States and elsewhere, which leads me to believe that he would really like to add Mexico City, but the owners aren't going to let him. We recognize there are underserved markets in the United States and elsewhere, markets that deserve to have NBA teams, probably even if we were to expand more than we can serve. That's true. fans in Seattle listen, they're counting on it. And it's not just fans in Seattle, it's the entire NBA. They want the Sonics back, as do I. And of course, the Sonics are now the Thunder, who left to become the Thunder in 2008. I believe Kevin Durant is the only remaining Seattle Supersonic. And let's see if there's, so that about covered Adam Silver's expansion talk. Here's what he said about Pacers and the Thunder in the finals. I jotted this down or typed it on my phone, and I'll read it to you as I scratch my armpit. He said, "We set out to create a system that allowed for more competition around the league." This is about the Pacers and the Thunder getting to the finals. The goal being to have 30 teams all in a position, if well managed, to be competing for a championship. And he said, and that's what we're seeing here. And that's exactly right, Mr. Commissioner. Well-managed teams should not be punished because they're in lousy markets. Last night's game one of the finals was best game one of the NBA finals I've seen in what? Since LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were in Cleveland? And you can't ask for anything more. A buzzer beater, in game one. Indiana looking like the Hoosiers. When I went to the Hoosier gym the other day, I had a Hoosier shirt on. I'm not kidding you. This is such a great story. I thought, I don't really care who wins the finals. I'm impartial. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to just watch it and enjoy the basketball. Well, I was wearing this Hoosiers t-shirt that I got at the Hoosier gym at Walmart. And I'm not kidding you. This wonderful old lady, probably in her 80s, I was very confident in that, came up to me and said, "I really like your shirt." And I said, "Oh, thanks. I just got it. I was over at the Hoosier gym. We got to talking." She went on for 15 minutes about the Pacers and how much she loves the Pacers, has been following them for years, and just went on and on and on. She knew more about the Pacers than me, which some of you will tell you that's not a big surprise if you followed my NBA coverage for any amount of time. But yeah, so I'm like, that's it. Because of her, I'm going to root for them. And she said, they remind me a little bit of the Hoosiers, the movie, the Hoosiers. Nobody thought they would be here. And they keep winning on buzzer beaters. This was before game one. And then they won game one on a buzzer beater in a game in which they played terrible. So what a great story the Pacers have been. Unfortunately, came kind of at the Cavs' expense. But you know what? The Cleveland Cavaliers can be there next year. I have no doubt about that. And neither does my friend the Gnat, who keeps flying right in front of my eyes as I talk. He's like, wrap it up, buddy. Wrap it up. The 330 to go has sent in the Gnats to get me to end the show. But anyway, which I'm going to do. I'm going to do that, actually. So we'll be coming to you coming back to you regularly throughout the off season. Still planning on weekly. There's a lot more NBA to cover all the way through mid-July because we have the summer league and all that. So I'll still be here to give you Cavs updates and all that. And in July, I'm not going to give you the exact specifics, only because I don't know that I've been given the green light to do that. But in July, I will be on the Mark Price podcast at a Mark Price basketball camp in the 330 to go. So that's the first week of July. I'll give you details as soon as Mark says I'm allowed, which he's probably mad that I'm not giving you details now, but I didn't want to do it without him saying, yeah. Because I don't know, maybe a bunch of people show up to see Mark Price. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want that. I don't know. So anyway, with that in mind, thanks so much for joining. Thanks for continuing to check out the website. Somehow, some way, even though the Cavs have been eliminated, we're not really writing much about them. The numbers are up. So has nothing to do with me. That's everything to do with the readers and the people who follow like you. So I appreciate that. Thanks for staying with us. And that'll be it for today. Thanks for me and my Nat friend. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you next week.